My name is Jesse Pfeiffer. I am a 65, and I'm a retired psychiatric social worker. I work for the Department of Veterans Affairs.
And what was your impression or your experience of media throughout your life? Your impression of it throughout your life?
I'm sorry, what was my
experience of media and experience and impression throughout your life?
I heard what was my experience, but I'm not sure what was my experience in what area.
Experience and impressions of media throughout your life.
Of media. My experience is centered pretty much in one setting. Earlier, when I was younger, the only people that, when a story came on and they talked about it and it was negative, then we knew that the person that they were speaking about was always black. I never saw in those days them talk about a white person or show their face if it was something negative. But black people, they consistently did that, even sometimes with children. Now things are beginning to be much more even, and I would say in the past things were much more negative when it came to people of color, whether they be Hispanic or black.
And how important was it for you to see someone of your ethnicity on television?
I think it's very important to see someone of your own, someone that looked like you. I know back in the 50s and 60s, there was a famous psychologist from Howard University who was hired by the government to go around and to conduct experience about black children, and it showed those children who were, when they showed them black dolls and white dolls, they asked which doll would you feel more comfortable playing with, and it was sad because those black children always chose the white dolls. They always had something negative to say about their own dolls that looked like them. They were always ugly. They never had anything positive to say about it, and it showed that they had self-hate, as black psychiatrist Alvin Toussaint would say. And so, seeing someone that looks like you is very important. It gives you confidence, and it makes you feel good about yourself.
Did you read a majority or minority newspaper growing up?
Back when I was growing up, there was really only Jet magazine and eventually Ebony magazine. Those were pretty much the full repertoire of black magazines. And now, in addition to those, which are still probably the primary magazines that most people of color read, in addition to those now, we also have, old magazine primarily for women. We have Black Enterprise. We have, just a burgeoning number of other magazines and periodicals that we didn't have back then. And so having options is always good.
Did you access black newspapers, or do you access black newspapers, websites, or magazines now?
Well, in our community, we have two black magazines. One is called The Truth, and the other is called The Journal. And those are the two weekly periodicals that come out that example, in last week's article, your mother is pictured, and there's a whole article about her and her experiences. You pretty much would not see that in the majority newspaper.
And are you a social media user?
I use magazines that if I want to address something professionally, I go to journals related to therapy, being a psychiatric social worker. But if I'm looking for something that is more related to, my experience as a black male or, person of color, then certainly I'm looking for magazines that reflect that value system.
And if you have these social mediums, what are the social media platforms that you use?
Sorry, say that again.
What social media platforms have you used specifically?
I'm not sure what that means.
So I remember before you were saying, like, when you were at work, you would go on your computer and kind of what you were doing.
Oh, okay. Well, certainly as a social worker, I would look for, National Association of Social Workers, Psychology magazines, the Psychiatric Journal, the American Psychiatric Journal. Those are the primary magazines that I would use for articles related to my profession. But again, it depends on whether I'm looking for something within the profession or if I'm looking for something more personal.
And what are your impressions of minorities in the media today?
I think that, it used to be rare to see a person of color, male or female, that was a member of the media. Still the exception rather than the rule today is something like The View that has two black co-hosts. Both Whoopi and Sherry Shepherd are exceptional, and there's nobody else and no other program around that has that value system. So I still think that that's rare, and they certainly bring a distinct flavor to the network. I think people like Don Lemon and Soledad O'Brien are very exceptional in terms of what they bring to the table. They usually bring articles that nobody else is talking about. So I think that that's very important to bring, and certainly we need that. And certainly our children need that in order to hold their heads high and to feel good about themselves.
Is there anything else that you would like to add?
Just keep up the good work.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.